Good morning, honorable judges and everyone present here. I am Salsa and I stand here as the first speaker of proposition team of today's motion. This also prioritizes preserving cultural traditions even at the cost of slowing social progress. To honorable judges and everyone present here, before we move further, let me first define to you what our today's motion is really mean. First, preserving the cultural tradition. Cultural traditions is a tradition that exists handed down from generation to generation. It means that this tradition is already exists for far way ago before we live. Our ancient, of course, put this with so many effort and discussions among they all, so they could make traditions that could and bringing good to others, to their future generations also. I mean, not bringing the bad things to them and their child, their grandchild, their future generations. So that's why those traditions are still used by generation to generation because it brings good things for them. For example, let's say on a Thursday in Rembang Gensi called Lasam that have a tradition where people from generation to generation that they must teach how to make batik for their next generation. They teach how to draw and make patterns with such deep meaning in batik in every inch, how to color the cloth, how to make the color stay. It means the generation, the people that have been provided by their parents, their ancient for tradition that make the mask and make batik make their life secure. Because what? Because they can make batik and then sell it so the batik, knowing the fact that batik is expensive and have already been a cultural hair nominated by UNESCO, and also the fact that not everyone can make batik, making their life the batik maker from generation to generation's wealth is secure because they are in their next generation is the ones who can make those expensive clothes, those expensive cultural clothes, those batik. That is such an example why keeping traditional cultures is important and not bringing bad to us. I mean, not slowing the social progress at all, because their economy is one of aspects in social life is still secure, meaning preserving cultural tradition is not slowing down the social progress. For that, I really agree with today's motion that this house will prioritize preserving cultural traditions. Here's the real fact that happened. First, preserving cultural traditions is actually keeping the property of the class. Preserving cultural traditions, for example, like an ancestral system where land is owned collectively from generation to generation and cannot be sold individually, making our clan properties secure because it will prevent them from snatched away by those who is irresponsible, just like maybe the land thief or even government that suddenly claiming somebody's land, just like the case we've been facing for years. But when your ancestors' system of land is like that the land is collectively collect from generation to generation and cannot be sold individually, it will like that for a long time. You have a proof that make the government cannot claim someone land, or someone that is responsible cannot claim your land. For example, there is one area near my house in Rembang that but that's on a mountain where there were an area, a village area that's so good, but they don't have a law, an ancient law that land cannot be sold individually. It means that they can sell it individually. There was a time in early 20th century, there's a factory that wants to stand there and they want to buy area with a lot of money. Of course, those villagers are agree, and one by one sold their land, making that factory stand big there, making the ecosystem that and their life of the mountain is dying slowly because the factory always produces dust and pollution every day instead of making money for those villagers that make the ecosystem there slowly die. But when they have a rule where the land cannot be sold individually, this factory won't stand there and make the mountain slowly dying, and the villagers can still live peacefully alongside with the mountain and ecosystem there until now. Two, preserving cultural tradition is not slowing down social progress. Preserving cultural tradition is not actually slowing down the social progress. Why? Because like rules where land is owned collectively by clans and cannot be sold individually, major decisions about lands that will be 1 year young cultural apprenticeship where they learn their culture is not slowing down the social progress. It actually supports the social progress. How? First, a 1 year young cultural apprenticeship where they learn their culture, their language, oral history, farming ritual, actually making the country rich because it can be used as a cultural tour for local or international stories that will make the country popular and being visited by many tourists for their culture. For example, like in Yogyakarta, the special region of Yogyakarta, Indonesia, where they still using their ancient rules, and they are the region. That region is categorized as one of the best region in Indonesia, richest region in Indonesia, because they still stick around with their culture, making the people, the local and international people, want to see the region, local and international people. They amazed at how pretty the region and their culture are, giving the proof that preserving traditional cultures that already exist in long way ago before we live here is not slowing down social progress at all. It actually helped fasting the social progress, just like how special region of Yogyakarta that make Indonesia famous, helping the economy of Indonesia, because many people want to visit in Indonesia. Second, the major decisions that has to be discussed with Elder Council is also good, which is we have to discuss everything before we do it. It means we can prevent a case like I told before, like case when villagers near my house where they sold their land individually, that make factory stand, that make at the mountain and ecosystem they're slowly dying, instead of making those villagers and everyone rich in social. Also, third, the fact that they're still allowed. Also, the opponent may say that they are trapped the generation. I mean, those cultural traditions trap the generation by their rules. But we have the third fact that they are still allowed to work or study high outside. I mean, having higher education, that it is a proof that cultural tradition is not trap them and slowing down the social progress, because the key of fasting the social progress is high education, and the fact that they still got high education. But high education is the proof that traditional cultures, ancient law, is not slowing down the social progress. So to keep those things alive, we can live nicely in culture, but also rich, because we are not slowing down social progress. We should follow this motion to preserve traditional cultures, just like Yogyakarta, just like the special region of Yogyakarta do until now, that make the country famous, that make Indonesia famous in international eyes. That means the Yogyakarta, the special region of Yogyakarta, is fasting up the social progress that make the country rich. For all those reasons, for our better future life, I'm proud to propose. Thank you.